Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Katelyn if you're new here, and if you're not, welcome back. So it has been a long time since I've posted a video. I think it's going on like 5, maybe 6 months since I've posted. I apologize if it's a little bit noisy in here. I have my AC on because where I live, it's gonna be like in the 80s this week, and today is very warm. And sorry if I sound out of breath. I just took my dog out and I'm 8 months pregnant, so I'm out of breath trying to keep up with her and from walking up the stairs because he's under my ribs all the time and just makes it hard for me to breathe. So there obviously is a reason why I have not been on here in a while, and I haven't really told anybody other than like the people that I know. I haven't like really posted it on much social media other than to update people when this situation occurred. So back in November, I found out that I was pregnant, and obviously I was so excited, very nervous at the same time, just because I'm only 20. I obviously wasn't trying, it just happened. So in December, I had a doctor's appointment, and it was my first one. So they do like an internal exam. If you're a mom, I bet you've had one. Well, obviously you've had one, but you might have had one for other reasons as well. So when I had mine, she said, it definitely seems like you could be further along than just 8 weeks. So, or sorry, no, I think I was 12 weeks at this point. Yes, my dog sits on the couch like a cat. It's kind of funny. She's honestly more like a cat than she is a dog. But that's Piper, and she's a beagle. I've had her for almost a year. Today I think is the 9th, and I got her on May 15th of last year. But anyways, back to the story. So I was 12 weeks. Yeah, I definitely was 12 weeks. And I actually had my first ultrasound. Well, in a normal pregnancy with no complications, you usually don't have your first ultrasound until like around 16 weeks, depending on the doctor that you choose to go to. So I'm sitting in the waiting room. I'm really excited, obviously, because I didn't think I would be getting an ultrasound for like another month. So the lady finally calls my boyfriend and I into the ultrasound room. So she's just like asking like, is this your first pregnancy? Was it planned? Just like the simple questions I assume everybody gets asked. And she starts to put the gel on my stomach. I'm obviously like nervous and excited at the same time because I've never like had a baby before. That was huge. I'm like getting my first ultrasound, and before the ultrasound tech even says anything, my boyfriend goes, "Is that 2?" And she goes, "Yeah, it looks like you guys are having twins." My heart dropped, and we just looked at each other like, oh my god, what are the odds that the first time we got pregnant, or that I got pregnant, it's with twins? Like, how crazy is that? So that was a very crazy day. They were like so tiny in the ultrasound. It was the only time they could ever fit in the ultrasound screen together was at 12 weeks, because obviously after that they start growing, and then it's like you can't really get both sacks in the ultrasound screen at the same time. You have to do one by one. So I found out that they had the same placenta but their own sac. I didn't really know what that meant, and then I found out that they were mono-di twins. I also didn't know what that meant. So then the next appointment was in January, shortly after Christmas. I had an ultrasound, and I was able to find out the gender that day. Well, I had done the blood test, but it didn't come back yet, so I was still waiting on it. And she was like, I should be able to tell you the gender. Would you like to know? And obviously I was like, oh my god, yeah, of course I'd like to know. And Trevor wanted to know as well. So she goes, so it looks, and oh, the other thing is I knew that they were identical twins. And she goes, all right, so it looks like it's a boy. And she goes, so obviously you're having identical twin boys. So that was exciting because most of the people in my family tend to have girls. Like my cousins have girls. There's just like a lot of girls in my family. So having boys was like very different for me. Like I'm used to playing with like Barbies, baby dolls and stuff like that, like makeup, not really like Legos, cars and stuff, which I don't care because obviously I will get to see like both sides of how kids are, like a boy, and then I have my girl cousins and stuff. But later in January, I was sent to a specialist in like two or three towns over, and everything seemed to be going well, so I thought. I had my ultrasounds, everything looked good, heartbeat sounded good, with the ultrasound tech. And then the doctor comes in, and my mom actually took me to this appointment because my boyfriend had to go to work, and he works for my dad, so most of the time he's able to go to like all the appointments, but it was like a weird time of day and I just didn't want him to have to miss work because he has like an apprentice, so then my dad would have to either send him home or try to find something for him to do. So I just said like, I'll just have my mom come with me to this one. It's totally fine. And I was really glad that my mom was there for that because I didn't really understand what the doctor was trying to tell me. So my mom like kind of dumbed it down for me so I could like understand. So she said that there was this thing called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, and it can only happen obviously with twins. It's identical twins, and I already had like a high-risk pregnancy having monodi twins, which I was never told that, so I just thought like, oh, I'm having like a healthy pregnancy, it's twins. I knew that twins were more high risk than the average pregnancy, I just didn't know how high risk it was. So she's like, I'm gonna schedule a follow-up in a couple weeks and we're just gonna monitor things, and she was like, and if things don't get better, we're gonna have to send you to either a hospital in New York or the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. So that just like immediately freaked me out, and I did not have a good feeling about it at all. And normally like I try to stay like as positive as possible, but getting told that at 20, it was my first pregnancy, I don't know, I just, from the start, I just had a very weird feeling after this appointment. So my next appointment comes, and it's another doctor that I had never met before, and they all come from like a really great hospital. They come up to meet on Wednesdays with patients who have high-risk pregnancies. So he's looking, the ultrasound obviously did like her part, but the doctor always comes in to take a second look to get like their own opinion. And it turned out that one of the twins didn't have any urine in their bladder, and I was told that I was at stage 3, and the twins had twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. So that day still feels like a blur to me because I all along had a really bad feeling, and normally I don't get like that. I try to stay super positive, I've always been like that. I try not to like think the worst, but I like truly like believed deep down that everything would be okay. I just had a bad feeling. as any mom would, honestly. So that night, my mom and I flew to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. We checked into our hotel very, very late at night, and the next morning I had to be at the hospital for 6 a.m. I had the longest day of testing. I think I've never had testing done all day. Like, I got there at 6 in the morning and I didn't leave until after 6 at night, so I was there for a full 12 hours. They were so great to me though. Like, when I walked in, I got a lunch bag, I got a face mask, I got water, some snacks. Just like, they made me feel very comfortable, and like, they knew something was wrong and they didn't want me to be panicking. They wanted me to like feel comfortable and like relax a little bit, because obviously I was very tense being in that situation. So I had my testing done, and I ended up being in Philadelphia for 11 days, which was a lot longer than we expected. So the first day, I had a bunch of testing, and I don't know what test it was, but it was something when they were looking at the baby's brains. They thought that they saw blood flow in the brain, so then I had to have an MRI, which kept us there for quite a while because it was like a 2-hour MRI. And let me tell you, I'm so claustrophobic and such an anxious person. I had to put myself to sleep because that was the scariest thing I've ever dealt with. And I know it probably sounds stupid because it's just an MRI, but when your head is in something, you can't move, you're like strapped down. That's like one of the worst feelings I think I've ever felt in my life. So I put myself to sleep, and I remember I had like little headphones in and earbuds, so like it would block the sound because obviously the MRI machine's wicked loud. So I remember them saying like, all right, you're all done, we're gonna take you out of the machine. So I come out of the machine, and I go home, and the next day I had more testing and a meeting with the doctor that was taking like very close look at like everything. So that day, after my testing, this day like wasn't very long. I probably left around like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so I was only there for a couple hours. But I sit down, and I still have like literally everything, every piece of paper, all of like the graphs that she drew out for me to explain everything. But she explained to me that one of the twins was very, very, very sick, and if I hadn't done anything, that both of them would have died. So they had twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. They had twin anemia something. I'm gonna write it on the screen because I can't remember exactly what everything is. It's just like very like wordy, and I don't know how to pronounce some of the words. But they had twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, TAPS, and something called SIUGR, and again, I'll put it on the screen because off the top of my head I can't remember exactly what it is. And basically what was going on is one of the twins was getting more of the stuff from my placenta, more food and stuff, so the other one was very, very small compared to the other twin that was getting everything it needed. So it was causing like a lot of strain on his heart because he like wasn't getting enough stuff, and for whatever reason this like one of the twins was like trying so hard to like keep the other twin alive. And later that day in the meeting, she kind of told me, she's like, so you honestly have a couple choices that you need to make. So obviously I broke down crying. Like, that was one of like the scariest moments of my life. and I had to decide whether I was going to have a selective reduction of one of the twins, if I was going to terminate the entire pregnancy, or if I was going to just leave it as is and like watch carefully. And just from like listening to everything she was saying right off the bat, I knew leaving it was not an option because I would regret it. So I made the tough decision to cut the blood flow to the twin that was very, very ill. And that involved a procedure through my stomach where they did 3 shots to clog the blood flow to his heart, and they were able to clarify that he passed away like very quickly at the end of the procedure. I still have a scar on my stomach. It's very small, but I obviously will have that there forever, and it was a success. I still to this day have one healthy baby. Obviously they were not able to take the twin out that passed away, so unfortunately when Tanner makes his arrival, I do have to give birth to both of them. And I honestly think one of the hardest things for me is that I gave them both names, obviously never expecting anything of it. I found out that they were boys. I was like, all right, well, I had one boy name and I had one girl name, but now I know it's 2 boys. So Trevor and I had a conversation and we picked out names. So Trey is the one that passed away and Tanner is the one that is still alive. So whenever he decides to come, which tomorrow on Tuesday, because today's Monday, I will be 33 weeks along, and originally they said they could take him between 34 and 36 weeks because the sac is never going to shrink while I'm still pregnant, where Trey is in, but he's gonna shrink and has, so he's gonna be restricted at some point and not be able to grow anymore. But I'm very thankful that this far he's still in there, because obviously the longer he's in there the better. So next week on Wednesday I have an ultrasound, and I'll be 34 weeks in a day when I go for that ultrasound. So I'm very like nervous because they could say, all right, we're sending you to the hospital, like today's the day. So I'm really just like soaking up this last week because I don't know what next week is going to look like. I am crossing my fingers that he can stay in, but at 34 weeks a baby is considered like fully developed, like lung wise. But unfortunately for me, that's really not the case, because he'll always be like a small baby while I'm pregnant because he was a twin, and obviously twins are a lot smaller than the average baby. So when I was at my last ultrasound appointment, they were looking for lung function, and they looked for like quite a few minutes, and they weren't able to see his like lungs functioning. Obviously he's still alive and everything's okay, but I was told that if by next Wednesday they couldn't see the lung functions, that they would start giving steroid shots to like develop his lungs. But obviously I prefer him to just have like, sorry, my dog is doing something. Piper, stop. Obviously I prefer him to like develop without shots and stuff, but I'll do whatever I have to do to like make sure that he's safe and everything. But that is what's been going on in the past 4 months. It's currently May. All of this happened in January, so I've just been really like healing and taking time for myself. I was pulled out of work because obviously after the little procedure that, well, I say little procedure because of the little scar I have on my stomach, but it was a huge procedure that I had. They said that they didn't want me to be working. I was very anemic because of Trey, and I was constantly feeling like I was gonna pass out, and there were a few times where my eyes like rolled into the back of my head. And luckily I was at my parents' house and not alone, because my dad was able to like get me to snap out of it by like talking to me, and I remember like waking up and coming out of it, and he like asked me if I was okay, and that's like what made me come back with it. So it's definitely been a rough 8 months. I didn't know for the first month that I was pregnant. I found out in November. So I've only known for like 6 months, or almost 7. And it's just like very crazy to me that this was the situation that I was handed, but I like to think that I'm a very strong person, and I know that not everybody could handle what I went through. And the doctors in Philadelphia were like amazed at how well I was handling it. But that's just how I am. Whenever something goes on, I tend to build up those emotions on the inside until I like really can't take it anymore. But one thing that's honestly keeping me going every day is that the doctor that did the procedure to cut the blood flow said to me that Trey really saved Tanner's life, and that I'm very lucky to walk away with one healthy twin. And I totally agree. Just like hearing those words from a doctor, and she kept telling me that like I was doing the right thing, because obviously there was that guilt that I wasn't doing the right thing. But obviously over time I realized that I did the best thing I could have done. And I'm really thankful that everything has remained okay with Tanner, because obviously when you find out you're pregnant and then you find out you have these major complications, losing a child, like it's not easy by any means for anybody. It wasn't easy for me, my boyfriend, my family, my friends who care about me. It was a really hard time. I didn't want to talk the first few days. Like, obviously I was with my mom, and she's like honestly the only person that I wanted to be around. Like, I remember I wasn't responding to anybody on my phone. I kind of just like laid there. I was on bed rest for 5 days, so I had to just lay there. But regardless of if I was put on bed rest, laying there and just like relaxing was like everything I needed. But I honestly don't think it will hit me until whenever Tanner makes his arrival, which could literally be next week. It could be a couple weeks from now. I really don't know. But when he makes his arrival, I will be having Trey cremated. And I honestly think the day that I give birth to Tanner and Trey, and the day that I get the ashes back from the funeral home, will be the day where everything really hits me. Because it already has, but I haven't really broke down over it. I've had my moments, but I still haven't really cried and like let it all out. And I'll have like little crying sessions here and there, but I know that someday it's going to come out fully. And I know I probably shouldn't be thinking about it now, but that's just how I am. Someday I'll have to tell Tanner that he would have had a twin brother, and I have to make sure I'm very careful in the way I tell him, because I would never want him to think that it was his fault that his brother's not here, because that's not the case, obviously. And another thing that I've thought about and that's been keeping me in good spirits is that even though I will only have one of the twins, they were identical twins, so I'll never have to sit here wondering what he would have looked like, because I'll have his identical copy right in front of me, and that just feels really good to me. But yeah, that is where I've been and why I have not been on YouTube. I've just been taking time to heal, but I want to get back on here making videos and just really like documenting my life, because a lot has changed. I've changed as a person. I'll definitely be doing a lot of vlogs when Tanner arrives, just like day in the life videos, and just life updates in general, because I don't even know what she's doing. I have a pillow out here because I was watching TV earlier and she just wants to get all comfy, I guess. But yeah, like I was saying, I really want to get back into the daily videos or weekly videos about my life and the things I'm doing. I've taken a little break from my business, but I'm doing lots of stuff behind the scenes, and I'm really excited for the things that I have coming up, because I'm definitely going to start putting my all into the videos that I post, the products that I'm making. I love my business. I would never let it go. Someday I really hope that I can turn it into a full-time job. And plans for like going back to work and stuff once I'm healed from this pregnancy, like physically. I don't want to put my son in daycare, and I understand that people probably will listen to that and be like, why don't you want to put him in daycare? Excuse me. I want to be there for all of like the milestones, like the first steps, the talking. Like I don't want somebody else to just be like taking a video and sending it to me. So I'm in a very lucky situation where my boyfriend can take care of both of us right now, and both of my pets. But in probably like August or September, I will be getting a part-time job where once he gets home from work, I'll go to work for a couple days a week, just to obviously make some extra money, because I'll get tired of sitting around all the time and I'll need that time out of the house. I'm not really sure what I will do or where I'll go. The ideal situation would be to try and find a daycare where I could take Tanner with me, because then I would be able to work a full 40 hours and take my son to work with me, and I would feel more comfortable if I was the one watching him, and I'm sure a lot of people understand that. And again, I feel very fortunate that I'm able to be in the situation that I'm in, because I know a lot of people have to put their child into daycare, but at least where I'm from, the daycare wait lists are like a year out, and obviously I want to be able to go to work and to get out of the house to make money, but I'm very thankful that I also have my business on the side. So if for whatever reason going to work shortly after didn't work out for me, I would just put my all into my business and really start promoting my products and making money through my business. I plan to pick back up on college. I have put a little pause on that just until he is here, and when he's here I'm gonna start doing classes, so when he's like taking naps and stuff, I can be working on my college stuff, because I don't have a lot left until I can get my degree, and then I'll obviously take my degree and go and get a really good job. For a while I wanted to do something with criminal justice, but after everything I've been through this pregnancy, it really made me think that I want to do something in the medical field. So I think I'm gonna start out trying to be an ultrasound tech and eventually work my way up to something else related with babies, because this has hit like it's like a very like different situation, and I would just love to be able to help people who are in difficult situations, just because I somewhat know what some people could go through, and just having someone to talk to at your doctor's office that really knows what you're going through is huge, and I would love to be that person. So that's the plan for that. But yeah, this is a very long video and a life update. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. I'm always willing to answer questions. It's getting less raw for me, so I mean it. Like, if you have any questions about any of the things that the twins developed, where I went, just leave them down in the comments and I'll be happy to get back to you. But I will talk to you guys in my next video. It will probably be again this week or maybe next week. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and I hope this update is not too annoying to watch. I know that like some people could care less, and I know that there's people that obviously will watch this, but I just felt like I needed to get on here and kind of talk about where I've been, because for a while I was very active on YouTube, and I'm definitely going to get back to that. So thank you guys for watching today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one.